Hello, yeah, Peter, are there? Okay, great. Now, yeah. So, Peter, I believe, hello, whether you can access the internet there. Okay. So, just go to Google and open the mm link of Pearson Edexcel. I'm just assisting you. अच्छा whether अच्छा okay so just open the site edexcel.co.uk. Sorry. अच्छा ये दिख जाएगा अच्छा screen share okay great so Peter I believe that yeah the screen share here okay I believe Peter you might be uh, I think that the screen has been shared with you. Are you looking whether is it visible to you that what especially I am going for? Okay, great. So for any queries like sound or I don't know why this sound is background sound that is disturbing. Yeah, yes, you can just have a glance on what I'm trying to look for. Here you can get everything related to that business course content, that what you have to study, the entire program specification, the course content, the unit content, you can get it here. So just give me just a couple of more minutes. So in fact, you can also save this thing in your computer. So you can see that Pearson BTEC level 4 and 5 HN higher nationals in business. Peter, can you see this? Unit 1 business environment. Very good. So this is the first unit business environment which I am going to discuss with you. And the credit, this is for 15 credits, right? And you can see I suppose that the first unit, that is understand the organizational purposes of businesses. Can you see this one? Yes. So here we'll be talking about today the different categories of organization, the purposes, stakeholders, responsibilities of organizations. So these things we'll be discussing in brief today, and apart from that I will also be handing you the assignment brief for BE, the very first assignment brief, which you have to do it and submit within that time frame. Okay. Okay. So before starting the unit 1, I wanted to share that assignment brief with you. Can you see this assignment brief on your screen, Peter? That, yeah, assignment front sheet. Very good. Now, so today, though the date is 25th of May, so it has been issued to you today itself, and you have to submit it by Thursday, 25th of June. Fine? Okay. And this is the title of the assignment is presentation on the importance to understand the business environment. Right? You have to give a presentation. Are you well versed with presentations? Do you know what does the presentation mean? How we can give a very good and effective presentation? Any clue, any idea about all those things? Uh, what you can do, Peter, that yes, I'll be working with you, I'll be assisting you how to make a PowerPoint slide. I believe that you might be well versed with MS Office, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, isn't it? Yes. So I'll be assisting you how to make a PowerPoint presentation, and what we can do, that whether on a Skype meeting, or let's say maybe I can see the presentation and you can speak from there, and this is how that entire assignment will go on. Fine. And you will be sending the you will be sending me the PPTs of those presentation on my email ID, which I will be sharing it today with you, right? And I'll be doing the entire procedure, the processes which has to be done in order to do this assignment. Okay, are you understanding what I'm trying? Okay, great. Now you are understanding, great. Now you can see that the learning outcome 1, it is all about understand the organizational purposes of business, which I am going to discuss with you. But right now let us try to understand what this assignment is all about, because once this assignment will be given it to you, once we are handing it over to you, you have to do it regularly. Whatever the topics which I will be covering, you have to complete those tasks. Later on I will be talking about, gradually I will be discussing about what does these tasks mean. Okay, now in this learning outcome 1, Peter, the very first assessment criteria. Now these are some of the assessment criteria which we have to understand, that what does it mean. These assessment criteria is those criteria under which a learner, you are a learner, Peter, and I am your assessor. Okay, so let's say this 1.1 assessment criteria, which is identify the purposes of different types of organization, that has to be well, you need to understand this criteria, and then you have to do the assignment, which is a presentation here. So you have to make a PowerPoint slide covering this, identify the purposes of different types of organization. Getting my point? Okay, right. Yes, very good. Now the assessment criteria 1.2, which is describe the extent to which an organization meets the objectives of different stakeholders. I'll be discussing with you what do we mean by stakeholders, who are the stakeholders of the organizations. So today we'll be discussing about all those things, but these are the ACs, what we say as assessment criteria, and we have to, the learners has to incorporate all these assessment criteria while doing their assignment, so that it can be assessed, and accordingly the grades would be awarded to you for this unit. Is it okay, Peter? Yeah. Yes, I will tell to you that how to go ahead with this making PowerPoint presentation. Today I will also be discussing you about all those concepts, all those content. I will be teaching you, I will be imparting training to you on the course content. However, right now we are trying to understand this assignment, which you have to submit it by Thursday 25th of June 2015, right? And but though this is the final date for submission of this assignment, but with every week, on every week you have to submit the updated work of all those assignments, right? So accordingly I can give you formative feedbacks, which will be seen by international standard verifier, who will be coming twice in a year. in order to look your on your assignments and whether the grades, and he will be verifying that whether the grades which has been awarded to you, the students like Peter, all the learners, is correct or not, and finally we can offer you those grades. Understood, I suppose, Peter? Oh, great. So today you can just what I will do that I will mail this assignment to you on your mail ID, isn't it? You can share the email ID. I believe that email IDs are there with us. Yeah. So we can we'll be sharing this assignment, the entire assignment with you today. Now, so accordingly, this is the learning outcome to understand the nature of national environment in which businesses operate. Right. So here this is all about 2.1. Again, you have to incorporate these assessment criterias in your PPTs, that how economic systems attempt to allocate resources effectively. Peter, I just wanted to know one thing, that whether you are whether you have any knack, whether you have any understanding of business. You do, so you can understand little bit economics, I suppose, little bit. Yes, great. And are you a businessman there? Oh, great. So again, the 2.2 is talking about assess the impact of fiscal and monetary policy of business organization and their activities, and 2.3 is talking about evaluate the impact of competition policy. I will be talking about what is competition policy. Basically, in UK and European Union, you have stringent norms while doing those businesses. You have to abide by those competition policies. You have to ensure that you are not going anything against those norms, practices which has been made as per the competition policy in European Union or United Kingdom. Okay, so I'll be talking about those regulatory mechanisms also. So this is what the 2.3 is all about. So we need to cover, we need to incorporate 2.3 as well in our PPT, that PowerPoint presentation. Right? So all 6 assessment criteria has to be addressed, have to be incorporated with relevant examples in our assignment in order to pass. Okay, Peter, any doubt, any queries? Good, very good. Now let us come to this grade criteria, the grading criteria. I believe you might be seeing these grade descriptors, right? So M1, which is merit. Now let's say Peter, you have already covered all those assessment criteria, right from 1.1 till 2.3, and you have got a pass grade. But let's say maybe you have done an outstanding work in the assignment and probably you deserve to get a higher grades. But how we can give you the higher grades, on what parameters, on what criteria? Now these are the parameters or the criteria. Let's say if you have made effective judgments in the assignment which you have submitted to me, and this is the contextualization, you can see that make effective judgments and approach to study and research during the presentation of business environment. Now let's say if you have started making this presentation, you have gone through different websites, you have referred good number of books, journals, articles, so I can say okay, you have made those effective judgments, you have made an effective approach to study and research, so you deserve to get M1. That is the first merit grade. Right, Peter? Okay, great. Now let's say M2. If we talk about M2, select and design and apply appropriate methods and techniques. What does it mean? It is all about that whether you have applied those appropriate methods and techniques while making those presentations. Let's say whether certain data, certain statistics, let's say maybe a report from World Trade Organization, had you have incorporated those report in your PPT or not. I'm just giving an example. Yes, so let's say if you have done that, so you deserve to get an M2 grade. Good, right? Okay. Now again, similarly, if you have presented and communicated appropriate findings in this assignment, so you accordingly you will be getting M3 grade, the third merit grade. And you want to, and let's say if you have covered all these grades M1, M2, M3, then overall you can get merit grade in this unit 1 of business environment. Peter, are you getting my point? In this unit of business environment, you have to do 2 assignments. And this is the first assignment, Peter. Oh, so the assignment which I was talking right now, this is the first assignment I am talking about, which will be covering these 2 unit content, the learning outcome 1 and the learning outcome 2. Okay, and you can see these are the assessment criteria. So basically you can see learning outcome 1 and learning outcome 2. This is the first assignment is all about, and the second assignment will be covering learning outcome 3 and learning outcome 4, right? Good. Now let's say now let's say, Peter, after merit you have made a critical reflection, or you have done again a commendable job, right? You have made those conclusions, you have drawn conclusions after discussion of relevant concepts with valid examples you have given in that business context, in that business organization. Self-reflection work has been submitted. What is a self-reflection, Peter? Can I know from you, what do you mean by self-reflection? What I've asked, Peter, that what do you understand by self-reflection? What do you mean by self-reflection? Reflection? Yes, I can see that, how I can see it, or how maybe the work which I have done, maybe how well I could have done it, maybe next time what are the things basically I could have improved, isn't it? A kind of an introspection. Do you understand what do we mean by introspection? So I can correct it. Yes, self-reflection, right? So that is what here critical reflection here means. So let's say if you have given that self-reflection work which is there in this assignment, I will later on talk about more in this context of self-reflection, and if you have given this thing to us, then you deserve to get D1, the distinction grade, the first distinction grade. Okay, Peter? Great. Now, accordingly, D2, take responsibility for managing and organizing activities. Let's say 25th of March has been given the deadline in order to submit this assignment, and you have submitted this assignment within that deadline of 25th of June, the deadline which has been given 25th of June. So you have given that assignment, you have submitted this assignment before this deadline, so you deserve to get a D2 grade. Right, And of course you have managed the activities on your own, you have done the things on your own, taking a minimal tutor help, a minimum help from others, and you have done the work on your own, most of the work, so you deserve to get a D2 grade. Is it okay, Peter? Go. Very good, Peter, very good. I believe that you are understanding everything. Good. Now, D3 is all about demonstrate convergent and lateral creative thinking. Now, Peter, let's say since you are already a businessman, uh, um, a businessman in Nigeria, and let's say the work which you have submitted to me, uh, you have used or you have applied certain things which I find to be extraordinary, which is something beyond a normal person who can think in that way. So I can see you have come out with certain generation of ideas related to business environment, and decisions have been taken during and after the presentation. Let's say you are giving a presentation in front of me, and you have made certain conclusions, you have made certain decisions, you have come out with certain ideas which I find it to be unique in nature, right? So you deserve to get a D3 grade. And once you have covered all these criteria, you have um, gone through, you have given those outputs on the basis of these three parameters of distinction grade, so you deserve to get a distinction grade in this unit, of business environment. But let's say, Peter, you have covered D1 or D3 and you have not covered D2, so you'll be getting D1 and D3, but overall you won't be able to get a distinction grade in that entire unit. That will be there. In the same fashion, let's say you have covered M1 and M2, but you have not covered M3. So you'll be getting M1 and M2, but overall you won't be getting a merit grade. So what I can summarize, let's say in both the assignments, in order to get a merit grade, I'm again repeating it, in both the assignments, in order to get a merit grade, you have to ensure that I have covered all three grades, M1, M2, M3, then only I can get a merit grade. Okay, same holds good with distinction grade as well. Okay, Peter, good. Any doubts so far? Would you like to ask me anything? Yes, yes. You have those privileges, Peter. You can shoot me a mail. You can tell me, Animes or sir, whether I am going in a right way or not. How I can go ahead with that. What you can do, you can make the very first PowerPoint slide. You can share with me, and you can ask me, is it okay, or I need to improve it, right? So you can continuously keep on asking me. Wherever you have doubts, wherever you have confusions, wherever you have certain ambiguities, you can just discuss with me on this go-to meeting, as well as with on Skype, or let's say maybe on email. You can discuss these things with me. Okay, Peter? Anything else? Understood. Good. Now this is the assignment brief, right? So again, you can see that now what is the purpose of this assignment? Basically, the purpose, you can just you can just read it. Can you read this one? Purpose of this assignment, Peter? Just read it. What is written there? Okay. Okay, so Peter, very good. So this is the purpose of this assignment, right? Right. So this is the purpose of that. It provides you are the learner, that understanding of different organizations, the influence of stakeholders, right? I'll be talking about what do you mean by stakeholder. Do you understand what is a stakeholder? Stakes in the business, very good. Be it the owners, be it even the customers, the employees, everybody might be having the stakes in the businesses, isn't it? The stakeholder, the shareholders, stockholders. Once, let's say if I have bought stocks in my in this company, so I'm a stakeholder, right? And relationship between the businesses and the local, national and global environments. Now business is all about uh, do, uh, 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 Peter, uh, do you know this adage in business, that it is talked in the business context, the global business context, that think globally and act locally? It is being said. Yes, you need to, yes, you need to think globally and you have to act locally. So I believe that you understand the purpose of this assignment. This is the purpose, right? That it will give you an understanding of different types of organizations. Let's say, let's say, huh, let's say I can say that whether you understand what do you mean by a sole trader, what is a partnership firm, and what is a private limited or a limited company. Yes, Peter. Peter, I just wanted to hold for a while. Just give, uh, Peter, I just wanted to hold you for a while, just for 30 seconds, right? Yes. Hello. You can listen me, Peter. Hello. Yeah. Now, right. Now, so I believe that purpose of this assignment is clear. Now let us talk about scenario. Yeah. Am I audible? Yes, I can listen what you are saying. Okay, great. Let us talk about the scenario. So I'm just the scenario. What exactly this assignment is? So that scenario, that what, uh, how you have to go ahead with the assignment. What is the problem? What is the business problem? What is the scenario for this assignment? Right now, so you are working as a now you have to suppose that you are working as a business consultant in the UK, and you have to give a presentation on the importance of understanding the business environment in a seminar. You have to attend a seminar, you have to give a presentation on BE, that is business environment, and your target audience would be the budding entrepreneurs. Who are entrepreneurs? Great. Yes. Yes, yes. As you have said, as the learner has said, that the entrepreneurs are those people basically who take risk, invest in the business, invest in the business, especially involving a huge risk. Those are said to be as an entrepreneur, right? So budding entrepreneurs means those who will be investing, those who will be coming out, investing a lot in that business. So, who would like to start a venture? As they are novice, they are new, so you need to make them understand about the business jargons and concepts. Business jargons is nothing but the terminologies. Let's say, let's say, if I am talking, my target audience are the budding entrepreneurs, and when I am giving a presentation, at least they should understand what do you mean by stakeholders, what do you mean by let's say a debit or credit. These are the terms, the terminologies, the jargons which they should understand, so in an easy and lucid way during the presentation. Is it okay? Any doubt? Nothing? I believe that everyone has understood this thing. Peter, had you understood? Okay. Now, great. Now let us talk now about the task 1. Now this is the task which the learner has to do, which is the presentation. Task 1 is all about presentation. So in the presentation, you need to incorporate these things, the following things. First is identify the purposes of different types of organizations. For example, a private company, a public company, government, voluntary organizations, etc. And purposes like mission, vision, aims and objectives of these organizations. So in this presentation, you need to identify the purposes of different types of organization. Right. So let's say if I am giving a presentation in front of the novice, the budding entrepreneurs, I need to keep the first thing in my mind while making these PowerPoint slides, that what are the purposes? Why these organizations comes in? Is it merely in order to make profits, or do they have any other purposes while establishing themselves? And what are the different types of organization? What do we mean by a private company? What do I mean by a public company? I will be taking a session right now about in order to make you understand about what is a private company and what is a public company, what is a government owned company, what is a voluntary organization. I'll be talking detail about all those things, but in this assignment the very first task which they are talking about, that you need to identify the purposes. So that has to be incorporated in the PowerPoint slide while making a presentation. Is it okay? Good. Good. Now, the second again, describe the extent to which an organization meets the objectives and the different stakeholders, that is owners, customers, suppliers, employees, debtors, creditors, and financial institutions. So, now these are the different stakeholders. Everybody is a stakeholder, be it an owner or a customer, a supplier, an employee, a debtor, isn't it? Debtor who has given us the money. Debtors whom we have given the money. The creditors with whom we have taken certain loan, and the financial institutions, be it the banks, right? So this is what we need to understand. This is what we have to incorporate, isn't it? The objectives, whether we are meeting those objectives of different stakeholders or not. We have to describe this thing. Next is explain the responsibilities of an organization and strategies employed to meet them, like stakeholder interest or conflict expectations in the presentation. So let's say maybe a conflict of expectation or conflict of interest may be there, let's say between two owners. That, let's say that is a partnership firm, it is a limited company, maybe there might be certain conflicts between an owner and a customer, an owner and an employee, or a supplier, a debtor, a creditor. So we need to explain all those things, the responsibilities part, right? Is it okay? Okay. Next is explain how economic systems attempt to allocate resources effectively, and discuss the type of economic system, for example, command, free enterprise, mixed, and transitional during the presentation. I believe that all the learners might be having an understanding that what do we mean by a command economy. Anyone can tell to me what is a command economy? Peter, could you please tell me what is a command economy? Command economy you do not understand. Fine. Now, let's say, I'm just explaining this thing, this concept to everyone. Now, let's say in many nations, in many countries, the government is just having the control or command over the economy of that country. Let's say if they are producing steel, do you understand what is steel? Yes. Now let's say if they are producing steel, so no private players or individual can go ahead and can establish those factories or those industries which can produce steel. I'm just giving an example for a product like steel. So only government has the command in order to produce, in order to make a production, in order to control that economy. So that is said to be as command economy. Generally the communist government. Do you understand what is communism? Yes. China for instance, having a communist government. The former USSR, which has now been disintegrated, yes, and Russia being the major independent nation. So maybe the communist government is all about that command economy type, I can say. So only government is having a major control. That is said to be as that command economy. Next is a free enterprise. Free enterprise, so everyone can come to that country, be it the government, be it the private players, be it any individual, and can establish themselves and can have their businesses done. For instance, maybe let's say US or UK, uh, anyone can come, right? Mixed, the combination of both those economies, command as well as free enterprise. For instance, India, command and free enterprise, mixed economy. Transitional during and transitional economy. What do we mean by transition? What is the meaning of transition? Anyone? Yes, what does it mean? Don't know. Okay. Now, okay, the meaning of this word transition is shifting from one thing to another. Now I can say that maybe certain economies, certain countries can shift from a command economy to a free enterprise, or a free enterprise to a command economy. So that is said to be a transition phase. So transitioning, uh, maybe moving from one economy to another economy. That is transitional economies. Got my point, everyone? Good. Now, so this is what we need to incorporate. Now, next is assess the impact of fiscal policy like control of aggregate demand, central and local government spending, public sector net borrowing, public sector net cash requirement. Now, these are some of the terms which I'll be explaining it, that what exactly it means. Basically, all these terms are there in from the context of UK, and I will be explaining everything. What do you mean by monetary policy, like interest rate on business organization and their activities? I'll explain them in my class, in my session. So never ever miss my session, everyone. Right, Peter? Uh, Now, lastly is evaluate the impact of competition policy. As I have discussed with you that discuss with everyone that what is a competition policy. Maybe the government, the regulatory bodies comes in and giving a fair chance to each player in order to operate in a country. We should not be partisan. There should not be any favoritism. A fair chance, going with certain business ethics. So that is what we have to do, is that evaluation of the impact of competition policy and other regulatory mechanisms on the activities of a selected organization in the UK. Now you have to do one thing, that you have to select one organization. Let's say I have selected Tesco. Had you ever heard about Tesco? What is Tesco? What is Tesco? Yes, Peter, you were saying something. Now, what is Tesco? Tesco is a retail giant. Okay, you know about Tesco, but you do not know about what exactly it is. Now, Tesco is a retail giant doing, you may have heard about Walmart, you may have heard about Carrefour. These are big retail giants doing the work, they are into the business of retail. Retail is all about distributing that goods and services to the end user who can consume those goods. Right? No, you may have to select one of the organization from UK, and you have to evaluate the impact of competition policy. How this competition policy which prevails in UK and some other regulatory mechanisms. There are certain other regulatory bodies prevailing in UK, which I will be discussing you during my session, and you have to incorporate the impact. You have to evaluate those impact. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Everyone? Good, very good. So this is the presentation is all about. We have to ensure one thing, that the working verbs like identify, describe, explain, assess, evaluate has to be given due emphasis, and a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation has to be made, and it has to be regularly shared with me in order to get a feedback from my end, and the final submission, the final presentation has to be made before 25th of June. Right, so this is the task 1. And I believe that you can remember that when I was talking about the grade descriptors, when I was talking about these grade descriptors, yes, when I was talking about the merit grades, the distinction grades, I have talked about a self-reflection. Now the task 2 is all about self-reflection. So write down a self-reflection work after the presentation mentioning what went well and what could be done better next time during the presentation. So you need to assess yourself. Okay, when I have given this presentation, once you have given this presentation, you after that on a piece of paper, on a Word document, you have to write it down. This is how the presentation went. These were the areas which I could have done it better. Probably in my next presentation, I will improve on those areas. Maybe related to my rate of speech while explaining certain things, or let's say by explaining with certain relevant examples. Or you have to talk, you have to discuss these things in the self-reflection part. Okay, so this is self-reflection, and these are the 2 tasks which I have talked about. So once you have produced these 2 tasks in the assignment, you are done with the assignment. The assessor will award you a grade, pass, merit or distinction in accordance to your performance. Okay, I believe that this is the assignment which will be shared as soon as I will end my session with you, and you start doing the assignments, everyone. Okay, good. Email address I will just share with you. Just hold on for a while. Hello, are you there? Okay, okay. So where we can see that how many learners are there? This one, no? ये वाला हाँ. Okay. Right. Yeah, recording is ठीक है. Okay. Okay. So I believe Prince is also there. Prince, am I audible? Prince, Prince, are you there? Peter, I believe you are there. Okay. So apart from Peter, Prince is also there, I suppose. He has left, no? Okay, okay. Anyways, let us continue now. Yeah, yes, Peter, you are saying something? Oh, email. Yes, yes. Email. Just hold on for a while. Yes, Peter. Can you see this one? Faculty at a rate Mercury .co.in. This is my email ID. Okay. 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 Welcome. Most welcome, Peter. So Peter, we are done with this assignment. Probably that assignment, as I said, that will be shared with you today itself. And now let us start with our session. As I said, that I will be covering this unit 1 today, that the different categories of organization, the purposes, the stakeholders and responsibilities of organization, right? It will take around almost 1 hour, more than an hour. You okay? You have to go somewhere. Okay, just hold on for a while. So Peter, even if you when you want to leave, hello. So when you want to leave, next 15 minutes. Hmm? 10 minutes? 13 minutes? 30 minutes? Okay, okay. 3030. Oh, okay, okay. So even if you want to move, okay, not an issue. You can move and you can just listen that recording session, right? That is what you can. Uh, Now, so let us start with the first presentation. So you can see this when this learning outcome, for this learning outcome 1.1, the purposes of organization. Whether it's PowerPoint slides, you can maybe after this session you will be able to identify the purposes of different types of organization in the business world. So what are the purposes we'll be discussing today, right? Okay. Now what is the mission? What is the mission? What do you understand by a mission? Anyone? Yeah, what we want to attend, isn't it? A mission is something what we want to attend. So mission is different from a vision, in that the former is the cause and the latter is the effect. So mission is something to be accomplished, whereas a vision is something to be pursued for that accomplishment. I can say maybe for an organization by 2030 they want to be at the top. They want to maybe a company like that of Microsoft, a company like that of IBM, a company like that of Coca-Cola, right? But a mission can be that in a year they have to achieve a sales target of this much, or they have to increase their market share by 10%, or they have to increase their sales by 15%. So small mission will lead to a vision. Any doubt about this slide, mission? Quite great. So vision, again, as I said to you, that you can just have a glance on these slide on these 2 points on the slide. So vision statement for a company or organization focuses on the potential inherent in the company's future or what they intend to be. So vision statement for a company or organization focuses on the potential inherent in the company's future or what they intend to be. Right? So these are the vision. What is an aim? As you can see over here, it's an attempt to or intent to reach a certain goal. I aim to finish this project in a week or less time. Right? A specific goal or purpose. My aim is to be a strong, hard-working employee. So these can be said as an aim. You can see you may have seen those things, maybe that the HND, the Pearson, those specifications where they talk about aim. What is the purpose? What is the aim of this organization? Isn't it? To attempt or intend to reach a certain goal. Isn't it? Objectives. Okay. So objectives, have a glance, everyone. Peter, have a glance. A specific result that a person or system aims to achieve within a time frame and with available resources. So in general, objectives are more specific and easier to measure than goals. Objectives are basic tools that underlie all planning and strategic activities. So a specific result that a person or system aims to achieve within that time frame. These are said to be as objectives. Right? Maybe more specific. I can say maybe an objective could be as having maybe making this company having a market capitalization of $20 billion or $80 billion. Objectives. Measuring something. More specific. Easier to measure than goals. Now these are some of the examples of objectives. So they serve as the basis for creating policy and evaluating performance. So some examples of business objectives include minimizing expenses, expanding internationally, or making a profit. As I said, that okay, I have to curb expenses by 20%. I need to expand my business horizons. I want to cross international boundaries. Or making a profit, having a profit of this much by next year. Have a glance over the slide of a goal, an observable and measurable and end result, having one or more objectives to be achieved within a more or less fixed time frame. It can be observed, it can be measured, end result can be measured. What are values? You may have seen the mission, vision and the values of the different types of organization. Important and lasting beliefs or ideals shared by members of a culture about what is good or bad and desirable or undesirable. Values. The ethical values we talk about the organization, isn't it? Any doubt so far? Good. What are profits? A financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating or producing something. So profit. What profit we have made? The cost which we have incurred, the selling price on which I have sold, and by the way, how much profit I have earned, how much profit I have made. The difference, the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating and producing something. So this is the profit. What is the market share? Any clue? Anyone? What is the market share? Any example? Market share. What is market share? Yes. See, people often get confused that share market or the stock market with market share. Now, market share, what we are discussing right now, is a term of marketing. This is a marketing term, not a term related to the stock market. That we need to understand. Now, market share, I can say, let's say I can say that Coca-Cola company, Coke, has a market share of 66% across the globe, and rest is the market share of PepsiCo, rest 34%. So market share means that percentage of an industry's or market's total sales that is earned by a particular company over a specific time period. So at present I can say, okay, among 100 soft drink consumers across globe or in a particular country, let's say Nigeria, 66% of the soft drink users would prefer Coke over PepsiCo. So I can say that 66% is the market share of Coke. Right? So this is market share. Now let us talk about economic growth. So definition of economic growth is an increase in the capacity of an economy to produce goods and services compared from one period of time to another. So that is said to be as economic growth, isn't it? Let's say maybe when we talk about, I will be discussing about what is the GDP of a country, what is the gross national product of a country, what do you mean by GNP. So basically economic growth is related to those things. Let's say if the GDP of a country increases, I can say that is economic growth is prevailing, economic growth is going on. So I can say that an increase in the capacity of an economy to produce goods and services compared from one period of time to another. Economic growth, again, that is what I said to you, the GDP or the GNP. Per capita means per individual, should be used as these take into account population differences between countries. So this is all about GDP and GNP increase, which we will be discussing later on more about what is a GDP and what is a GNP. When I was discussing about the assignment brief, I have talked about what is ROCE. I have discussed a little bit about what is ROCE, return on capital employed. So return on capital employed is nothing but the ratio of EBIT, which EBIT stands for earning before interest and taxes, divided by the total assets minus current liabilities, right? I believe that you may have studied accounts also a little bit. Might be having the knowledge of what is assets, what is liabilities, what do you mean by current assets, what do you mean by current liabilities. Do you understand all those things? Yes, funds, assets, accounting. Do you understand all those things? Great. So this is what return on capital employed. It is all about a ratio that what the earnings were before interest and taxes, right, and divided by the total assets which we have and the liabilities. Let's say loan is a liability, isn't it? My own capital is my assets, right? A short-term loan can be said as a current liability. So this is what return on capital employed is all about. Customer satisfaction, as you people are aware about, the goal of every company these days is that they want loyal customers, they want repeat customers. So that has to be ensured that customer satisfaction has been measured. Sales is all about that in general a transaction between two parties where the buyer receives goods, tangible or intangible, services and or assets in exchange for money. So a product could be a good or a service. It is an agreement between a buyer and a seller on the price of a security. So let's say what we are doing, we are offering a service on certain amount of money. That is a sales. It can be a tangible one. Do you understand what do you mean by a tangible? What do you mean by tangible, Peter? Something which can be seen, which can be touched. I can say a pen, or let's say maybe a computer, a laptop, a tangible one which we can see, which we can touch. But let's say we have been to a doctor, a medical practitioner. What doctor is doing, what doctor is giving to us, what we are paying to him or her. We are paying to him or her the services which they are rendering, which they are offering to that end user, to that customer. That is a service, right? So sales can be for a good or a service. Again, return on capital employed. So that is the measure of the returns that a company is realizing from its capital, calculated as profit before interest and tax divided by the difference between total assets and current liabilities. So this is what return on capital employed means. Service level is describes usually in measurable terms the services a network service provider furnishes a customer within a given time period. When used as a call center metric, service level measures the percentage of incoming calls that an agent answers live in an established amount of time. Service level, people are talking about good services, right, these days. What is CSR? Corporate social responsibilities. Companies these days would like to work for the society at large. They are opening hospitals, they are maybe the big groups, let's say maybe Microsoft, they are donating a lot of money on charity, they are working on healthcare system. So this is CSR, corporate social responsibilities, that being a company, being an organization, you just need not have to just think about making profit or having a market capitalization, increasing your market capitalization, but it is also about that how much social work you are doing in the society. Is it okay?
Now, ethical issues in businesses, as I said, just have a glance. And if you are not able to understand, just discuss with me. So integrity and trust, the fundamental issues. Companies are talking about the trust factor. A brand like Sony, an electronics giant, people trust that brand. That is why they buy it. The fundamental issues. Diversity issues. The world is a rich and diverse place full of interesting cultures and people who should be treated with respect and from whom there is a great deal to learn. Diverse issues. You may see that multinational companies do give due respect to the customers across the world about their cultures and accordingly do their work. So this comes under the ethical issues in the business. Have a glance on ethical issues. The study of proper business policies and practices regarding potentially controversial issues such as corporate governance, insider trading, bribery, discrimination, corporate social responsibility, and fiduciary responsibility. So these are the ethical issues which we need to take care of. Discrimination, bribery, ethics. So this was all about the purposes of different types of organization, but increasing market capitalization. So I can conclude that the purpose is just not to make mere profits or increase market cap, as I've already said to you. It's all about thinking about society, thinking about the larger interest of people. So it is a complex thing. It is not as easy as we think of the purposes or the objectives or the aim or the mission or vision of a company or an organization. Okay. Had you understood this session? Great. Um, can we do two more sessions for two more topics? Okay, just we will wind up as soon as possible. Break. ठीक है. I am just giving a break for 5 minutes, and after that we again will be starting. We will be covering at least we will cover this, finish this unit 1, this one. Are looking? So we have discussed about this one, the purposes. We're discussing about the categories, stakeholders, and responsibilities, and then we'll wind up. Okay. So I'm giving a break for 5 minutes. Right? Oh. Hello. Peter. Peter, are there? Anyone there? Now, so let us now talk about. हाँ on कर दिया. Now let us talk about, in this session we'll be talking about that we'll be able to identify the purposes of different types of organization in the business world. Let us start today with this legal structure that we uh, have to know in the BE, in the business environment, or in order to have a better understanding of the organizations. So the different types of structure you can see over here on my slide, that the private company, the public company, the government, the voluntary organizations, cooperative, charitable, primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. So we'll be talking about all those things in detail. As you know, the private company, which is we can say about an individual who is owning that company, a private person. So that can be said as a private company. So as per the definition, you can see a company whose ownership is private. As a result, it doesn't need to meet the strict Securities and Exchange Commission filing requirements of public companies. So in every country you have certain regulatory bodies, certain commissions which has certain norms which the companies has to fulfill. So private company is all about the private ownership. So the companies may issue stock and have shareholders, however their shares do not trade on public exchanges and are not issued through a initial public offering. So that is a private company or private limited company here in India. uh, we talk about. What is a public company? The public companies, they can issue shares. A company that has issued securities through an initial public offering and is traded on at least one stock exchange or in the over the counter market. Let's say it has been listed in NSE, they have listed their offerings. So they have made capital, they have the made that business by taking money from people by offering them those securities. That is what we can understand about a public company. What is a government company? A government company is all about corporation set up by national government to carry out business transactions on its behalf. So LIC here in from India, maybe in every country, be it Nigeria, be it US, UK, anywhere, the government is owning that company. So that is what government company is all about. What is voluntary organization? The word voluntary itself means that people come forward on their own and set up the organization. So one which relies on occasional or regular volunteers for its operations and may or may not have paid staff. So volunteer organization is characterized by autonomy from the state, self-governance through a board of unpaid trustees. So that is what a voluntary organization is. Again, so membership that is neither inherited nor prescribed. So it's not like that uh, it has been inherited by someone. Aid from philanthropy. Philanthropist, the people who would like to work for the society, certain organization, they get a lot of money, aid, something like that. So benefit for or service to non-members and not for profit orientation. If we talk about voluntary organizations, they are they are there for not for profit purpose. Cooperative, what is a cooperative firm? So cooperative businesses are owned and run by and for their members, whether they are customers, employees or residents. As well as giving members an equal say and share of profits, cooperatives act together to build a better world. So a lot of people come together and have that cooperative firm, cooperative businesses. So members basically make those cooperative firms. So it can be customers, employees or residents. Cooperatives act together to build a better world. As they have equal say, they can share the equal profits. So cooperative firm works in that way. If we talk about sectors, the primary, secondary and tertiary, primary is extractive. I can say that um, the agriculture, extractive, manufacturing, the industries, services, let's say banking. These are some of the sectors which we have to understand if we talk about primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. So these are the different categories of organizations, and it's useful to have a better understanding about the business and the corporate world. So now we can see that we have discussed the different categories of organization, we have discussed the purposes. Now let us talk something about stakeholders right now. If we talk about customers, everyone is aware about who is a customer. One who buys that product, one who consumes that product. Now, so customer is again a stakeholder. We have to understand this thing. Yes, somebody is having a stake in that company, but customer can also be said as a stakeholder. So if we go with a proper definition of a stakeholder is a person, a group or an organization that has interest or concern in an organization. I have certain certain thing which is there of my concern in that company. So probably that person can be said as a stakeholder. So stakeholders can affect or be affected by the objectives and policies. Examples of the key stakeholders, as I've already discussed with you, are creditors, directors, employees, government, agencies, shareholders, trade unions, suppliers, and community from which the businesses draw its resources. All those are stakeholders. Owners, who has invested the money in that company, so party that possesses the exclusive right to hold, use or benefit from. He can enjoy, convey, transfer or otherwise dispose of an asset or property said to be as an owner. Who is a customer? A party that receives or consumes products. One who have consumed their product. It can be a good or a service, as we have already discussed about what exactly goods or services are, and has the ability to choose between different products and suppliers. So suppliers, a party that supplies goods or services. A supplier may be distinguished from a contractor or subcontractor who commonly adds a specialized input to deliverables. He is also called as a vendor. From vendor we take maybe if we talk let's say maybe we are a company, we need certain spare parts. We will seek this thing from certain products, certain spare parts from a vendor, from a supplier. Employees, people who are working in that organization. So a proper definition of an employee can be said as a person who works for another in return for financial or other compensation. Who are debtors? Debtor, an expression used in the accounting world to specify a party who owes money to a company or individual. So somebody, let's say we have given, being a company, we have given certain money to an individual or a company, so that company or individual can be said as a debtor. For creditors, from whom we have taken money. So a party to whom money is owed, So common classification of a creditor includes a secured and unsecured, who has a legal right to take a specific property of borrower and sell it in case of a default. Generally, we talk about maybe a secured loan in the context of um banking and finance across the world. There is a concept of secured loan. Now, secured loan, what exactly are secured loans? Secured loan are loans on the collateral. Let's say I can seek my home, I can keep my home as collateral and take a loan. So that will be said as a secured loan. An unsecured loan or a personal loan without keeping that collateral. Generally, an unsecured loan, a credit card, for instance, is a personal loan, an unsecured loan. So you can have this. You can see this definition of unsecured, who does not have any such right. You cannot seize a property since there is no collateral. You cannot do that. Third is preferential or senior, who takes precedence over other creditors in laying claim to a bankrupt borrower's party. So this is what preferential or senior, who takes precedence. Junior, whose claim is addressed after satisfying the claims of preferential or senior creditors. So this is what junior is said to be as. Financial institutions, a bank can be said as a financial institution. So private, shareholder owned or public government owned organization that, broadly speaking, as a channel between savers and borrowers of funds, suppliers and consumers of capital. Banks, insurance companies, institutions, financial institutions. What is a bank? How we can define a bank? So establishment authorized by a government to accept deposit, pay interest, clear checks, make loans, acting as an intermediary in financial transaction and provide other financial services to its customers. What does the bank do? Offering loan to the needy and charging interest. So we can say intermediary. Let's say those who have deposited money with that bank, the bank will be giving interest on the deposit which has been made by that individual. But how come a bank also earns? So it again, we can say in simple terms, giving money to the people who required it and charging a fair interest rate. So that is how, by giving money, they are earning money, banks, in simple words. Mortgage lenders. Mortgage lenders are nothing but the mortgage can be defined as a loan which is taken for or against any property. Let's say in UK there are 4 types of mortgages. First charge mortgage, second charge mortgage, third charge mortgage and fourth charge mortgage. Generally first and the second charge mortgages are very much popular. They are into practices. However, third and the fourth charge mortgages are also being discussed. First charge mortgage, let's say I have bought a home. So till the time I do not pay all those installments to the bank, the home which I have bought will be acting as collateral with the bank. Let's say if I am unable to pay the installments, I have become bankrupt. Now I cannot pay back to that lending institutions from whom we have sought that loan amount. So bank has that full right in order to seize that asset, that collateral. So that is the concept of a first charge mortgage. And as I said, as I have defined mortgage as it is a loan for or against any property. Second charge, let's say I have already taken a loan from a bank. I am paying installments, maybe 4 to 5 years, I again want to have a loan on the collateral, on the same collateral on my home. Let's say after paying installment for 4 to 5 years, maybe 30% equity or let's say 40% equity, now I have the right. I own that equity, that 30 or 40%. So on those equity, I can again seek a loan amount that is said to be as a second charge mortgage. So these are the things as far as mortgage lenders do in UK. Credit factors. Now I can seek a loan amount across the globe. In every nation you have credit rating agencies. They assess your credits, the past credit history, and accordingly they give you a loan. Let's say if I have been a defaulter, I have defaulted while paying the installments to that lending institution, to any high street banks, I may be debarred from a loan amount from any of the bank. And even if some banks consider me to offer loan, they may charge a higher interest rate. Interest rates charged by the bank on the loan amount in UK are said to be as APR, annual percentage rates. So let's say people having a good credit history, a fair credit history, may be having a APR or an interest rate of 7 to 8%. A person having an adverse credit history may be charged around 14 or 15%. And every individual is given a fair chance in order to improve his or her credit history also. So credit factors basically comes into account. So provides information for important information about factors that lenders take into consideration while when reviewing loan applications. That credit factor is being taken due care. So you can see all those things as I've already said about, talked about resource management, equity investment. These are some of the things which in the credit history, the credit factors, on these parameters loan is being offered. So earning requirements, working capital, collateral, resource management, all those things comes into picture. Now we have also to understand environmental groups. There are wildlife, the groups which are engaged in the protection of the environment. So we can have the different types of groups, like for instance African Wildlife Foundation, so works to conserve the wild animals of Africa and the land they inhabit. So some of the other examples: Alliance of Justice, National Association of Environmental Civil Rights, Mental Health, Women's, Children's and Consumer Advocacy Organization. Talking about justice, government agencies, these are different types of again an organization. So we can say the Central Intelligence Agency, the Census Bureau, Office of Management and Budget, central government, local authorities are government agencies. They also have a greater role as far as operation working of organizations are concerned. Trade unions, factories having trade unions, labor groups, protecting the interest of the laborers. So you can define trade union as an organization whose membership consists of workers and union leaders united to protect and promote their common interests. So these are said to be as trade unions. So we are done with this part, stakeholders. So now we can see that we have covered categories of organization, purposes, stakeholders. Last which is left is responsibilities of organization, the stakeholder interest, conflict of expectations, power influence matrix, satisfying stakeholder objectives, legal responsibilities, for instance, consumer legislation, employee legislation. So while doing the assignment brief which will be shared with you very soon, we need to ensure that as far as Unit 1, the Learning Outcome 1 is concerned, that Learning Outcome 1 has to be addressed properly in order to pass or achieve the higher grades. So now let us discuss about the responsibilities of organization. So in this session you would be able to explain the responsibilities of an organization and strategies employed to meet them. So legal responsibilities and consumer legislation. Let us have just a little bit glance about all those things so that it will be easier in order to make the assignments, to work with assignments. So first is to, every country, be it Nigeria, be it UK, be it India, US, everywhere, you have certain legislations, the acts, like Sales and Supply of Goods Act that states that goods must be of satisfactory quality. When we talk about, we'll be talking about the legislation part, the business legislation part, and especially in semester 2 or semester 3. Where we have to understand, we'll be discussing about goods and services acts. So we have to understand all those things. So Trade Description Act, goods and services must perform in the way advertised by the businesses. So whatever the advertisement which has been shown, it has to be advertised accordingly. The features has to be discussed fairly with the consumers. So all those things comes under these acts, legislation. So Consumer Credit Act protects the consumer when borrowing money or buying on credit. Let's say maybe if lending institutions has offered a loan, a home loan, at times, though most of the banks, now most of the institutions across the world, though now they have stopped it, otherwise still some of the banks charge the prepayment penalty from the consumers, from the borrowers who have borrowed the money from the banks, that let's say if I have paid certain amount, the loan amount early, then I have to maybe I'll be charged with certain amount. So there is certain legislation, there is Consumer Credit Act which prevails across the world. In UK also you have many acts, multiple acts which protects the consumer who have sought those loan amount. Now fair trade, now Competition Commission Office of Fair Trading. Now Office of Fair Trading has been closed in UK, and it has given there are different institutions, different organizations, different what I can say regulatory bodies, better to say regulatory bodies now prevail in UK in order to protect the interest of the businessman, in order to ensure that free trade is being done in UK, that Competition Commission or this regulatory bodies basically looks into all those things. So stakeholder interest, so stakeholder theory suggests that the purpose of a business is to create as much as value for possible for stakeholders. So as we've discussed about different types of stakeholders, their interest has to be safeguarded, their interest has to be protected as much as can. Conflict, as I believe that I've also discussed in my past talks, that conflict of expectations, maybe between two owners in a partnership firm or a limited company or a private limited company, or between owner or a supplier, anyone, a creditor or a debtor, can be a conflict. So at that time we have to handle, the companies have to handle those conflicts for the betterment of that organization. So whenever a business tries to meet the needs of many different stakeholders, there will certainly be certain potential for stakeholder conflict, and those conflict has to be addressed, handled in a fair manner. So this is where the different stakeholders groups might have different priorities, so that conflict has to be discussed, handled. Now this is a managing stakeholder and power influence matrix. So high level of interest, low level of interest, high level of power, low level of power, you can see. So let us talk about the first quadrant. Key players, take notice of them. Certain stakeholders who have high level of interest, high level of power. So key players, those who are majorly acting as players, take notice of them. Let's say those who have invested a lot. Of course, once I have invested a lot, maybe if I am the owner of a company, if let's say if I am a very high net worth individual, I'm a very key customer to that company. High level of interest, high level of power. So key players take notice of them. Those who are working, maybe the CEO, the managing director of a company, maybe they will ensure that the stakeholders having higher level of interest and higher level of power should be satisfied as much as they can. So this first quadrant is talking about that concept, that idea. Next is high level of power and low level of interest. So keep them satisfied. Low level of interest, high level of power. Okay, since they are powerful, but they are hardly interested about the affairs of the businesses, the company, but keep them satisfied. Low level of power and high level of interest. So communicate regularly with them. Communication process has to be there. So that high level of interest and low level of power here means people having low level of power and low level of interest can usually be ignored. You can ignore them. So objective about meeting stakeholders' objectives. So we need to ensure the objective related to market share, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, returns to shareholders, cutting pollution, reducing waste. All those objectives has to be met, whatever the objectives are there of the different stakeholders. Now these are some of the acts as per the UK legislation, UK laws. So we'll be discussing about details about all those things in the business legislation part, in, as I said, in semester 2 or 3. But we need to understand what are the employees who do equal work or for equal value must receive the same pay as workers of the other sex. So Equal Pay Act 1970 basically talks about all those things. There is again a Sex Discrimination Act 1975. So cannot be sexually discriminated in employment, training or recruitment. So male and female staff members has to be treated equally. Race, related to race, ethnic group or color, that is Act 1976. So those has to be followed, implemented while operating, though these laws are from the UK context, British context, which the companies who are operating there, they have to abide by such legislations. Health and safety legislation. Now if we talk about health and safety, every organization, every company, be it any part of the world, they have to follow those laws as per the law of land. Assess the risks to employees, customers, partners and any other people who could be affected by the activities. To arrange for the effective planning, organization, control, monitoring and review of preventive and protective measures. So health and safety legislations has to be ensured. You can see, so there is again a policy, a written policy, health and safety for their employees. So if you have more than 5 or more people, you have to have that safety policies or health policies in UK, in Great Britain, in every part of UK, what I can say, that has to be there. So ensure they have access to competent health and safety advice, consult employees about their risks at work and current preventive and protective measures. So what risk can be there and how you can prevent yourself. So all legislation, the written policy, the document has to be duly signed by all those employees. They have to make them understand before recruitment and before making them work in your company. So Employment Protection Act 78, employees must be given a written contract of employment, must have given written contract of employment. That is, we have already discussed. Now this is what the responsibilities of an organization is before law, government, and above all the people at large. So we have discussed all the 4 topics which we have to in which will be covering your learning outcome 1. So for any queries, you can shoot me a mail at faculty@mercury.co.in. I'll be glad to assist with your assignments, any confusions, clarification, doubts. Thank you. Thank you for attending my session.